Love Life is a series that has gone through many changes, starting from having one group to having multiple, switching locations, school outfits, genres of songs, killing their games. It's a multimedia series, alright? Now, it's not like change is a bad thing. People will riff on any change given, no matter how small or big it might be. Look at Minecraft. Change can do a lot to a series. It can change its direction, its visual style, its tone, but most importantly, drastically alter how you potentially view it. I've talked about change before, and how there's a process to ensure that change goes as smoothly as possible without being jarring or causing the next world war. You can't just say bam, change, enjoy it folks, and then close the door. That would leave everyone in shock. Now in regards to Love Life, I don't think it needs to be explained that changes have caused many rifts in the community. It's something I talk about in many videos, and for good reason. With the series as long and large as it is, you have so many fans that will not agree with one another. Check anytime Love Life has made a decision or change, and you will see the gap between fans in terms of age, experience, and what they like and dislike. This year has been plentiful of that due to events such as Hasunosora discontinuing their app, alongside discussions of Bluebird. Just bringing those up might potentially cause some conflict. I can tell you right now that scrolling for my comments on my most popular Love Life videos is the best way to showcase the spectrum of all those thoughts. Let's do a little test example, and I swear this will all connect together. What do you think of added members? The concept of it entirely. For those who join Love Life later on, Love Life used to have a formula. 9 idols, 9 members. Muse had 9 members. Aqours had 9 members. Nijigasaki had 9 members. Matter of fact, 9 is so famous in the franchise, they decided to celebrate their 9th anniversary because who else would do that? That's tradition, and has stayed the same for almost 10 years by technicality if you start all the way back from when they started in the Denki issues. Squaddle Festival had 9 circles to accompany the 9 members. It felt like everything was formulated around it. So to change it seems wrong, especially to many older fans. However, that reality soon became true thanks to a certain character that I'm not spoiling yet, please don't look at the thumbnail or title of the video. But because of this character, because of this event, changing the number of members from 9 to 10, it caused something. A butterfly effect that you can see in other aspects of Love Life. It's now common ground for a Love Life group to add members, and some even start with less than 9. Matter of fact, they've gone to the concept of removing members, which is something that definitely needs a discussion in itself. Sure, some of the groups already planned to add members from the start, but this one character was the official start for the idea. This one change though is something that makes or breaks a lot of people. Some people hate it because you now have to dedicate more time to a newly added character. In something like an anime, you can't put all the spotlight equally onto all the characters. This is something the series has suffered from, and it's definitely not helping them even more of this change. And to some people, changing the members just feels wrong. It doesn't make Love Life Love Life. Personally, I don't get it, but I understand the sentiment, especially if they've been around the block for a while. But think about that concept genuinely. One change that changes everything. One step that goes into a mile. You can take any change and see how far it went. How about changing the art style for one group? Now others are going to change the art style. Even something as simple as saying the plot won't be about saving their school anymore has large impacts. And let's not pretend there isn't a reason for changes like these. For a series like Love Life, if it remained the same forever, things would eventually get bland, which is a touchy subject, especially for those that deeply love the series. And just because they experiment and do new things doesn't mean the new things are good in question. These things require a level of nuance that with the topic we're talking about today, can't be fully encapsulated into one word or one sentence. And the last thing you and I need is me being like, let me segue into a history of the discussion of Love Life's art style, when this video is about something else entirely. So let's just focus on the source. Where do these changes come from? What's the exact decision you can pinpoint when Love Life really started making big changes? Again, ask any fan and they'll have their own perspective. They might say Aqours, they might say Niji, they might say Liella, they might say another answer that isn't in my head. It's like asking someone when The Walking Dead fell off, you're not gonna get the same answer. And my answer is indeed different. I believe you can see most of Love Life's biggest changes, / even the thought of experimenting, from when they add their very first member to an existing group, Shioriko Mifune. Now the path to paving her introduction and how she was introduced create guidelines for what to do and what not to do when you want to create changes to an existing series. This video will be split between two core goals. One, it will summarize Shioriko's involvement in the Love Life series, her involvement in C-Fest, her involvement in the anime, alongside our movie. On the same line, we're going to be analyzing how they did this, what they fucked up on, what they did pretty good on, and see how it connects to modern Love Life with certain decisions. A lot of this is admittedly just connected to Nijigasaki in general, which if you watched my Nijigasaki video, know that it was the experiment when it came to Love Life. This is a video that required outside research and interviews regarding when Shioriko came out, so I do apologize if some info is missed. These videos aren't perfect, so if I miss anything extreme, feel free to tell me. Regardless, I believe Shioriko is an important character in the Love Life series, to the point I'm surprised many don't talk about her in regards to that. Although, I can guess why. But hey, I'm sure there's a lot of things you don't remember Shio for, or need a bit of catch up for it. Luckily, I heard there's some new publishing company that seems to be archiving everything nijigasaki related. I think I have it here somewhere. Oh, found it! While I will provide brief context, I do recommend watching my Lanju and Nijigasaki video for a more detailed background on Cephas and Nijigasaki in general. As much as I would love to increase my watch time, I do admittedly get tired at a certain point explaining how Nijigasaki the group started a side project being a part of Sif's anniversary, certain end girls were chosen as part of this new Perfect Dream project, which was a code name for School of the Festival All-Stars, insert my conspiracy theory on how Cephas was originally an add-on to Sif, and we're pretty much caught up. Although, we should at least elaborate how everyone was feeling around this time via my past research. Nijigasaki was kind of in a rep before All-Stars. Their game got delayed, their content avenue was pretty bad, and they were in a very lucky position being a side project and having stuff like Sif and Aqua being around to pick up the pace. AKA, the main focus wasn't on them, and thank goodness for that. Nijigasaki was small but tight-knit. A general part of the fanbase questioned where they were going, but those that stuck with them would get rewarded with the project that would change love life forever. For better or for worse. School Idol Festival All-Stars, a gacha RPG, not really rhythm game that focused on the entire Love Life cast, with a large focus on Nijigasaki because, you know, it was originally for them. This was supposed to be their main avenue of content, so this was the actual legitimate time we could learn about these characters, their goal, what the actual plot of Nijigasaki was. Unless the 4 Koma comics were canon, then I have some questions. Cephas operated story via a visual novel chapter format. Within each season would be a compilation of multiple episodes and chapters, with them being released over the course of months. While there was a delay between the global version of Cephas and the Japanese version, it wasn't too drastic until something like Lanju, although I will point out the differences when needed. The story of Nijigasaki is low-key boring as fuck and not really fun to summarize. That sounds incredibly rude, but going through the first few chapters is genuinely a, yes, that did happen. My eyes are slowly closing. It's very slice of life if I can compare it to anything. Things are happening, such as a group learn to be themselves and start performing, but due to the limited visuals and frankly boring structure, I don't remember a single thing that happened. They have like 3 chapters in season 1 where the main character goes on a side quest and visits Muse and Aqours, and then Nijigasaki and Muse have multiple contests together. Like, in terms of characterization, there's a lot of funny and cool moments. Especially for Rina, you can easily see the difference between her anime and Cephas counterpart here. But holy shit was I bored. When Shioriko finally pops in episode 8, I'm like, oh my god, something is finally happening. And for the record, I'm not against slice of life / low stakes stories. I've seen games, even visual novels, be able to make engaging stories that don't have the highest stakes conceptually. It's not a matter of what the content is, but how well you're able to showcase that content and get people hooked in. There's an audience for anything, and character moments can only go so far before I'm like, am I watching like an event / Bond story? Because this is the main story. This is what people were gonna know Nijigasaki by, and what we have are characters, but no real plot / significance focused on anything. That was a horrible voice crack. This is all in 6 hours, by the way. You'd think after the first hour or 2, things would get going, but no. We gotta pad out our games so we can have artificial roadblocks so people will spend money on us. When people express concerns over Love Life not having any stakes if there's no school to save, Cephas' story is literally the pinnacle of that concern. And I'm so glad later parts of Love Life and later adaptations of Nijigasaki would learn what to actually focus on when there's no one defining goal / plot. Hasunosora is a very good example of this, putting so much focus onto the characters and their arcs that's actually engaging, and you can somehow swallow it within a 2-hour episode. Just because something experiments doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. And I don't want people to misinterpret when I say Nijigasaki was Love Life's biggest experiment. I mean that in both a good way and bad way. You're not going to get things right on the first try, and it's by analyzing small stuff like this that we can see where Love Life took some notes for the future. And I know someone's going to mention Bond stories, and those are good in their own right, I'm going to talk about later in the video. But when it comes to the main story, I'd like it to stand its own. I'm not asking for top tier in-depth character development, I'm asking for a good plot that's engaging. But also yes, when Shioriko popped in, I strained my back because that's when I knew shit was getting real. Shioriko officially appears in Chapter 8 of Season 1, remarking on the performance of the Nijigasaki student body, exclaiming that they're not doing well and that she needs to intervene. Meanwhile, on the flip side, the school idols are attempting to get a venue for this School Idol Festival, which was unfortunately cancelled last chapter. Luckily, they get in contact with the person who created the first School Idol Festival, Karuko. Now, I'm not sure if it means she just created one or created the first one by herself, but she's someone that all the idols bring attention to, considering she herself wasn't a school idol. She was someone akin to the main character on Nata-chan, someone who just supports school idols. Unfortunately, Karuko tells them she can't do shit, so Nata-chan's like, we'll just run the school idol festival ourselves. Everything seems to be looking up, until a knock occurs at the club room. It's Shioriko Mifune, and she makes one hell of an entrance. She discovers that Nana Nakagawa, the student council president, is actually Setsuna Yuki, the school idol. Crazy, I know. But she doesn't really give a shit. What she does give a shit about, though, is Setsuna's leading capabilities, and how she deems it insufficient for the school. Now that she knows Setsuna Yuki and Nana Nakagawa are one and the same, her determination is resolved, and she formally announces to run as the next student council president. And then as a last slap in the face, she decides to disband the school idol club as her first official move. Now pause. If you're a Love Live fan, you're likely noticing the tropes already. In case you don't know, Love Live has had a frequent trope of student council president that hates the Squaddle Club. Ellie with Muse, Dai with Aqua, and Nijigasaki actually subverted this by having a student council president who already was a part of the Squaddle Club, even if secret. I mean, she still was gonna abolish it in a way, but like she wasn't as mean about it. With Shioriko's declaration, this trope seemed to be coming back, with slight concern. We've seen how it goes. They hate the Squaddle Club, and then they end up joining it. Wait. They end up joining it. Nijigasaki is already at the established 9. Their group is already established. It's been that way since 2017. They wouldn't do something like add a new member, right? Well, anyway, next chapter details the battle between Shioriko and Setsuna for the title of Student Council. It isn't just decided on a whim. In the next couple weeks, both parties do their best to basically say, vote for me, vote for me, vote for me. It's like me telling you to subscribe. But I'm like nonchalant with it, so you should do it anyway, Aina Koji type shit. Setsuna and Shioriko are pushed to the limit in regards to how passionate they are in their work. Shioriko is firm in her stance and shows a level of passion that sadly isn't seen in Setsuna. Shioriko is saying she would fit every student's needs, and Setsuna's like, fuck. She admits that she mainly did it for her parents, and being frank, she's more passionate about idols. It doesn't mean she doesn't enjoy doing student council work. In fact, when asked what her goal is, she wants to make the school comfortable for everyone. However, she knows the stakes of losing the student council role, and as she wants to protect the Squaddle Club, she still wants to do her best. It's here where the cross-continuity with Muse and Aqua actually gets to shine here. Setsuna asks Ellie and Daya how they operate as student council presidents, and she learns that maintaining communication with students is most important. Which is like, no shit, Sherlock, but I'll let slide because it's Setsuna. After a public debate with Setsuna running away, the final election begins. And Shioriko instantly murders Setsuna, questioning her true passion for the student council, all without exposing her true identity. It's actually kind of crazy how much Setsuna just cannot do anything. It's like me going to a Project Sekai debate when I'm more of a Love Live fan. You gotta choose your fights better, bro. Unsurprisingly, Shioriko wins, and first thing she does is barge to the club room to say fuck you guys in particular. So yeah, Setsuna tried to become student council president again to save the Squaddle Club, but failed. This is why Sachiogami is better. Things are beginning to look traditional, yet new. The trope of an idol-hating student council president isn't anything new, but it's our first time seeing someone attempt to dismantle it while it already exists. This would usually be something that happens early on, when it's just a couple of members. Not after the whole squad has been assembled and they're ready to do their thing. Shioriko's hatred for school idols isn't out of nowhere, and her reason is better than most. The point of being a student is to study and achieve their academic goals. Shioriko's words, not mine. Using her analytical skills, she's able to see that quite literally almost everyone in the club has terrible grades, including Setsuna, whose grades have dropped ever since she joined the club. Ellie and Daya, again good incorporation of the multiple groups, agree that everyone needs their grades up. With how passionate Shio is in everyone's academic career, this isn't out of line for her, and you can see where she's coming from, but you know deep down she has some sort of ulterior motive regarding the idol club. Then the story just kind of meanders along with the members fucking around for the Squaddle Festival, which being frank is so unengaging. Oh no, nobody gives a fuck about our Squaddle Festival because we don't even know how to run one. Sorry for pulling this out of nowhere, but it genuinely got me so frustrated rewatching this story. They play up the stakes of the festival so hard to the point I don't really feel much. It genuinely feels like an excuse just to have Muse and Aqua insert into the story because do you honestly remember any of this? Plot points that matter so little, and with the limited visuals it could be about anything. Everything is constantly stretched out for over an hour to achieve such little results that the only way you can defend this shit is by saying, oh, but you know, character moments. But that only goes so far before you give less of a fuck. They bring up Shioriko at one point in chapter 12 and I was like, oh god, something intriguing. Can we switch to that instead? Nah bro, let's go make a promo video that lasts the next 30 minutes. And also Shioriko playing with children. And if you disagree, that's perfectly fine. I just don't want my time to be wasted if I'm watching the main story of something, and I get shown something that's so bare bones, I honestly don't feel anything. I have the mindset of always being down to care about something, but I want a good reason to care about something. Having everyone just fuck around? Sure, it's nice seeing everyone have fun. This is the main story! I have standards for this! Put the shit in the event story! It sidetracks from an interesting plot point to do something incredibly minor that I personally consider padding / filler, and it's only at the end of the episode where we're like, oh yeah, we actually have the actual interesting shit to get back to. This video has just been slandering Cephas' writing so far, so let's actually move on to the good parts of the story. Chapter 13 noticeably gets better as it actually puts some focus on the Shioriko's role as student council. One of the traits you may have noticed about Shioriko is how aggressive she is. She decides the Squirtle Club isn't beneficial, so she immediately wants to disband it. That doesn't end just there. We learn very quickly that her aggressive nature is conflicting with other clubs and especially other students, as her advice comes off as, do this, instead of what you want to do. She determines what's logically the best for people, even if it comes at the cost of their freedom. A student's dreams and goals may not necessarily be what they're naturally good at, and Shioriko doesn't understand that. That mindset of hers eventually reaches the peak during a student council meeting, where her ideas and beliefs are publicly challenged by multiple clubs, leading her to actually question herself. She wants to save the students of Nijigasaki, to not have them go through what her sister did, whatever that means. Shioriko eventually asks the Squirtle Club why they do what they do, or her words, why are they so comfortable with doing something so useless? This is actually one of the few episodes that is justified for being an hour long. Shioriko becomes a temporary member to understand what it's like to do something useless, and we get a lot more in-depth knowledge on Shioriko's view. You can actually feel it wanting to tell a story when it comes to Shioriko, one with actual conflict and intrigue. She is something tangible and real compared to, oh man, they don't like our slogan guys, let's spend the next hour on this. Shioriko prioritizes student skills at the top, and will not compromise even if it results in them not getting what the student personally wants. Her mindset is frankly stupid as shit, but it's one that's consistent with her character. When Anata-chan gathers the club presidents to send a compromise to Shioriko, Shioriko instantly notices her skill and invites her to the student council because Anata-chan should be in something she's good at, completely ignoring Anata-chan's love for school idols. It's that kind of detail that sparks a level of nuance, and you can even see the members questioning it in their head. Just like how everyone was challenged via Shioriko's beliefs, Shioriko is challenged by everyone else's beliefs. Having her be in the School Idol Club introduces so many concepts to her, especially her relationship with Ayumu, someone who she frankly thinks sucks at being a school idol. But after training with them, she at least understands why they're so desperate to save the club. It's actual natural growth and something that expands across multiple chapters before Shioriko comes around. Growth. Themes. Ideas. Fuck you. Did I seriously just make a chapter for ShioPomu? I guess I did. One of the best ways to showcase Shioriko's growth is her relationship with Ayumu Urahara. When she becomes a practice member, Shio is very hard on Ayumu specifically, calling her dancing simply moving your feet, which damn. But it makes perfect sense. Ayumu and Shioriko are polar opposites in their beliefs. Ayumu is someone who is not good at what she does, but she wants to be good at it and will strive for that. Shioriko wants people to continue at what they're already good at, their skills that they naturally have. It's such an interesting dynamic between the two, especially as Ayumu is the one that becomes closer to Shioriko compared to everyone else. She teaches her to believe in faith a little, and you can see her impact in making Shio lighten up a little. Unfortunately, the Squirtle Festival arc begins to intersect with Shioriko, but it's actually good this time, because Shioriko actually serves as a defining force of the plot that makes sense. Shioriko is the only one that actually thinks of the logistics in handling an event like this. The time will take place and who has to suffer for it. Actual valid points that become the focus of the episode. Ayumu is the one that gets to talk to Shioriko personally on how she feels about it. And she's the one to see past Shioriko's facade, that her distaste for idols isn't just because it's useless, it's something more. And it's like, Ayumu is a sweetheart. I wouldn't say she's innocent, but she always has the best intentions and is always down to look on the bright side. She somehow twists Shioriko's words to help shape their dreams into reality. We want to host a Squirtle Festival. Well, you need 1,000 people. Thank you, Shioriko, for making our dream into reality. Now we know what we need to do to make it real. Wait, what? I didn't mean that way. You're so kind, Shioriko. Also, shouts to Cosby saying she wants Shioriko to have a mental breakdown over them actually getting 1,000 people. You cannot make the rivalry up. Most of Shio's softer side is shown with Ayumu, as she not only helps her pick a gift for Anata-chan, but also goes out of her way to help Ayumu give it to her due to events happening at the Squirtle Festival. It's very clear Shioriko is not used to this level of kindness and also stupidness because Ayumu is sometimes a cloud in terms of her brain. Matter of fact, Shioriko herself is kind of stupid. As you can see, she's kind of been sheltered her life with how formal she is. Unfortunately, Shioriko making Anata-chan and Ayumu meet causes the infamous scene of season 1 where Ayumu cries because Anata-chan is so focused on the volunteers of the Squirtle Festival that she completely neglects Ayumu and her feelings. And as someone who doesn't give a shit about the Squirtle Festival plot, man, is it good to do a rewatch to refresh my mind. Give me that anime version, bro. There's clearly something going on with the idea of pushing so hard with something, you lose sight of why you're doing it. To the point you push away the one person you want to support in the first place. Even Shio pops in and is like, bro, this one is on you, man. But the way it's done is just not intriguing at all given the topic that's been meandering its way for damn near 9 episodes. I get it. It makes sense for Anata-chan to act this way, to go into this depressive episode and start losing it mentally. But the pace pacing, bro. The pacing. It's why I struggle a lot with detailing my thoughts on season 1, because for every genuine praise I have, it's filled with fluff that does nothing but waste your time, including in the episodes themselves. We have been at this for almost over 7 hours and we're not done. You know when you're watching a show and it cuts to a random side plot that you're like, oh my god, bruh. That's the exact feeling of watching CFUS. At least with a good show or game, those side plots, no matter how insignificant they feel, get paid off pretty well in the story. And I can tell you right now, CFUS does not do that shit. Shioriko is the only damn interesting thing about the season, and her relationship with Ayumu accentuates that. You genuinely get to see growth from Shioriko as she helps Ayumu after Natachan ignores her. You get to see how Ayumu is confused on Shio's kindness and understanding when she skips school, something you'd think Shio would get rowdy about given her aggressive stance as student council. It gets to the point Ayumu wants Shio to help her by asking what she's good at and what to do, to which Shioriko cuts her off, later explaining how she saw how happy she was as a school idol, and how much she shined with the others. We get to see her in real time discussing her thoughts on school idols, and how she still feels mixed on it, but she can't deny the passion they have for it. When Ayumu decides to become a school idol again, it's Shioriko who outright says that she shouldn't lie to herself, and should just be honest with what she truly wants to do. Not what she's good at or should do, what she wants to do. And she doesn't stop just there. Shioriko then makes Ayumu's dreams a reality, making a video broadcast to the world to share Ayumu's thoughts, to share her passion. Then after everything works out, Shioriko exclaims to herself that the school idol club she loves is officially back, and that to truly have a dream, you have to go step by step and persevere. At first, this seems like it comes out of nowhere, but after she witnesses the true passion of school idols, she understands now what it's all about. The passion, the work, the ability to make that dream into reality, something she didn't even think was possible. It was really thanks to Ayumu. She proved Shio wrong, and the moment Ayumu almost succumbed to Shio's mindset, it's Shio herself who's like, no, this isn't right. It's really good. It's a needle in a haystack. Except the haystack is a pile of shit. Anyway, the day of the School Idol Festival comes, and Shioriko learns that humans are not machines, and she can't move the hearts of others. Wow. Character development. Okay, I'm being too petty. Something actually interesting does happen when Karuko, yes, the Karuko in Chapter 8, who I gave one mention to as someone who helped with the creation of the School Idol Festival, makes an appearance and reveals that she's Shioriko's older sister. It's here we learn that due to Karuko's obsession with school idols, she wasn't able to become the next successor of the Mifune family. And Shioriko responded by not wanting anyone to have the same fate as her, which is where her mindset of wanting people to strive at what they're good at comes from. She just wanted to make everyone smile since she thinks Karuko failed, and she straight did not want to take any other alternatives. It's an alright reason, and something that gets elaborated later on, but it could be worse. Which isn't saying a lot, but still. Karuko applauds Shioriko for changing, and being surprised she isn't a school idol herself, to which Shioriko says she isn't good at singing or dancing. Karuko, similar to what I said earlier in the video, just plagiarizing my work, remarks that you don't need to be good at singing or dancing to be a school idol. And at the end of the chapter, with everyone peer pressuring her, she admits that she wants to be one. She wants to be a school idol, and she's welcomed in and joins in on the performance. She officially joins the group. Wait, she joins the group. Is that even allowed? Wow, that story was ass. What was my point again? Talking about how important Shioriko is, it can be traced to most of the life's chain. What the fuck was I talking about? Wait, I can salvage this. If it's not clear already, Shioriko's implementation to the first season of CFUS was not good. The story was unfocused, went on for far too long, and the interesting ideas and concepts it did only sparkled in brief 5-minute intervals filled with 1 hour slop that did nothing for anyone. This is the worst way to do a long-form version of storytelling. There had to have been a better way of doing this. The only praise I can give is that Shioriko gets an amazing arc shedding her hatred for school idols and learning that you can actually do things you like rather than what you're good at. That's solid, that works. It did not need to take 6 to 7 hours to do that, especially for a character that was going to be joining the main cast. Yes, the main cast. The big reveal at the end of Chapter 17 was that Shioriko was officially joining the Nijigasaki School Idol Club. This was something unheard of for the Love Life series, but it didn't blindside everyone. Fans already had their speculation of Shioriko when she first appeared in the story for 2 reasons. 1, the trope of student council hating school idols, and 2, Moika Koizumi. For those unaware, Shioriko Seiyu is Moika Koizumi, who at the time was most known for a role in Revue Starlight. This instantly raised some eyes on why a minor character would be voiced by someone like her, and with the plot progressing, the reality seemed more and more imminent. Yet, it still surprised people when it actually happened and her character profile was an actual thing. I went around social media asking people for their thoughts on Shioriko and what they thought of her, and the consensus was confusion at first. It broke the 9 idol structure. It could potentially mess up subunits since people wondered what subunit Shioriko would go into, and also, A lot of people did not like her. The trope of evil student council was always a hit or miss depending on how it went, but with Shioriko's aggressive and prolonged attitude, it made people sick of her. Imagine watching this in real time with weeks passed between certain episodes and chapters. You'd be wondering to yourself when this conflict was going to end, just for another episode with 80% filler to pop in and give you only like 2 cool moments. I was really happy though to see a lot of people having the same thoughts I had regarding Shio. There were definitely some really good concepts regarding how her character development went, and at least that's what people remember her for. There was a very different vibe I got from Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Reddit for that matter, with some clearly remembering moments from the past. Unfortunately, Reddit is one of the only good social media sites to actually archive a lot of their posts, so I was able to get live reactions of people's thoughts on Shioriko being added. It was genuinely a mixed bag, and something that got alleviated as the story continued, thanks in part to Shio, actually getting some form of development. This decision though, did a heavy blow to Nijigasaki, both positive and negative. Mimo brought this up, and listen, I get it, you're probably sick of me saying how Niji was a side project. I love the series, but let's not deny its relevance back then. It was experimental, and that's okay. I don't intend to say it's a side project as an insult, especially today. Obviously, back then, the term side project was used to make it seem lesser than Muse and Aqua, which, but Nijigasaki doing big decisions like these only cemented the fact that it was a side project, that it was different, that it was the experiment, and it was definitely not a one and done. This is still one of the most defining parts of Love Life, even if its impact wasn't as clear at the start. For all the faults I give Cephas, especially for what I just said a few minutes ago, they were clearly trying something even if it wasn't the best. For better or for worse, Shioriko is the result of this attempt. This attempt to try something new with Love Life's story, adding new elements to an existing story and cast. This is something you can easily see being improved upon immediately when Lanju and Mia were introduced, along with how the second generation of Liella was introduced as well. Yeah, Liella was already going to add new members from the start, but chronologically in the public eye, Shioriko was the start. As much shit I give season 2 of Cephas, at least it actually focused on them extensively and their presence was felt throughout the entire season. There weren't that many side tangents and side plots that pulled away from the general focus of Lanju, which is why that video is infinitely longer than the Shioriko video, because if I'm being frank, I skipped almost everything Muse and Aqua relay because it's just fluff to pad out time. Easily the worst part about season 1. It's like they were scared that if they actually focused on a new group, people would leave or something. It feels like they were scared to actually dedicate the plot towards Shioriko. Not because they weren't able to say anything about Shioriko, that's completely false, but they were scared of going too far and actually making something interesting. Of course, I think they overcorrected with season 2, but it's something you can see later groups be like, yeah, we're not doing that shit, let's do it our way, guys. If you look at the way new members are introduced in other groups and their journey towards joining the club, almost none of them do it the way Shioriko was done because, well, it sucked. It doesn't even matter the format they were introduced in. They did not touch what Cephas did with a 10-foot pole. The amount of padding, the amount of let's not focus on the actual interesting stuff plagues this first attempt. You were probably thinking that Shioriko paved the way for new members to be introduced in groups, but more so it showed how not to do it, which makes season 2 even worse because it also showed how not to do conflict and how not to have an antagonist, things that would be done better in later Love Life groups. Yo, can anyone tell me what Setsuno did again in season 1? Shioriko is important in the sense that she serves as the poster board for OSHA regulations. Those regulations exist for a reason. People died for them. In the case of Love Life, Shioriko died to make sure others wouldn't follow in their footsteps. Think about it. Nijigasaki was always Love Life's experiment, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I mean that they were willing to throw shit on the wall and see what worked. It's something you saw off their approach before Cephas, but it's also something you see during Cephas. We want to try adding a new member? Use Nijigasaki. We want to try adding an antagonist? Use Nijigasaki. We want to be the worst Love Life game ever? Use Nijigasaki. I'm joking. But you see what I mean, right? Season 1 is the embodiment of a warning sign followed up by In Memory of Shioriko. Now that Cephas' relevance is slowly dying out with the public servers being shut down, a lot of people are not going to remember the first time Love Life added new characters. The most you'll hear is, oh yeah, Shio was the first one added. She was kind of a dick who hated school idols, but then she came around. But that is a gross simplification. Over 10 hours of my life have been wasted, and I know this was all self-inflicted, but I'm still gonna complain. If tightened up, cut a ton of the fluff, and focus entirely on Shioriko, I believed our arc could be wonderfully done. It is good, but why did it spread out like peanut butter? I do not know why it was seemingly so hard to get this right. And you can disagree if you want. Again, this is just my thoughts, but please go for the whole 9-10 hours and see if you actually got anything out of it. Because I didn't. At the end of it, I felt so mixed in how I felt this season had went because the ratio from good moments to boring moments was like 1 to 1,000. I'm not joking or exaggerating. Okay, I'm slightly exaggerating, but there is such a feeling of treading through mud that can only be experienced by watching it for yourself. So do that when you have the time. I speak a lot of shit, but I also see shit in my eyes, and what may be shit in my eyes may be something else for you. As much as I tend to mess around and shit talk, I'm not one to say this is that or declare something is this objectively. Things are nuanced and more gray than you can think. I want to make that clear because we gotta talk about season 2. Hey, if you guys could pause this video, go on my channel, click on my laundry video, watch the entirety of it, and then come back. Now, okay, I'm playing. My thoughts on Season 2 of CFS have only changed slightly due to Season 1 being boring. Listen, Season 2 made me angry, Season 1 made me feel nothing, so I choose the one that makes me feel some sort of emotion. Laundry never got a punishment. Another channel is stupid. Cost me the only good part. Things feel backtracked, and at the core of it, it isn't enjoyable to watch, which sucks being honest. I still believe it to be one of Love Life's worst moments writing-wise, and Shioriko suffers immensely from it. She's biased towards Lanju to an egregious amount, and coming right after Season 1, it still feels crazy that she just lets Lanju slide by. But everyone does that, so fuck me, I guess. I don't like repeating myself that often, so anything you want elaboration on, you can go watch my Lanju video. In regards to Shioriko though, everyone is borderline out of character to the point I don't give a fuck, man. What the hell is that time skip, bro? Season 2 just has so much shit that actually thinking about it won't do much because everyone has already made their complaints on what went down and what exactly went wrong, what were character choices and what were writing choices. The line between these two was blurred so hard that after my rant, I'm good. The only thing it did was further Shio being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Both times Love Life and Nijigasaki did something new, and she was right at the forefront of it all. Except for one thing. I neglected it in the laundry video because it was the laundry video, but since we're on Shioriko, I actually get to mention this one arc in Season 2 that's actually pretty good. So at the end of Chapter 25, remember we still have the association in the Squaddle Club, even though a ton of them have gone over except for Cosme who's justified. It's revealed that Kaoruko has returned to Nijigasaki as a student teacher, much to the surprise of Shioriko. Kaoruko's like, I'm part of a new Squaddle event that gives one of you guys free advertisement, also all of you go into a training camp right now. What ensues is a very interesting chapter, hashtag ShioPomu, but to avoid going deeper into Season 2, which will just make me repeat a lot of points over, let's just focus on how Shio is involved in this. Just to remind you guys, Kaoruko is a key figure in Shioriko's motives. She serves as pretty much the entire reason for her hating school idols for a big chunk of the story, and her returning pretty much out of nowhere puts a little damper into Shio's head. The last time they saw each other was the Squaddle Festival, and that was before she officially became an idol. Their relationship is one that lacks a lot of maturity given Kaoruko's childlike nature, and when she figures out Shioriko is a school idol, she kinda treats her like a child. It's paralleled with Kanata and Haruka along with other siblings, and how even though they both care for each other a lot, they also respect each other a lot. Sort of. We learned that Kaoruko's kind of a bum, sleeping all day, staying up all night, and bring Shio into it, hashtag I need her. And you can immediately see how Shio kind of forms the person she was in Season 1. She kind of had to be the mature one, especially in a professional family like the Mifunes, so her formal/aggressive nature makes sense. And Kaoruko may have been a bum, but when it came to school idols, she genuinely logged in on it, giving it her all, even if it required being away from home and ruining her sleep schedule. The one thing I will say is that it's revealed that a partial reason for Shioriko being so hard on the Squaddle Club was because she was jealous for school idol business taking Kaoruko away from her, which is something I admittedly feel off from a character perspective. I think it was already enough to have Kaoruko's obsession with school idols to lead Shioriko to have the mindset she had in Season 1, especially with the added context of Kaoruko being a bum. But to say it played a part in why she was a day one hater towards the Squaddle Club specifically makes it way too petty in my opinion, enough to almost make me dislike the arc. Not fully though, because I do see what they're trying to do with Kaoruko and Shioriko, tying it into sibling love and the regret Shio has for how she used to think of her, especially due to topics such as the status of being a Mifune member. Because of Shio's development, she's finally able to confront her sister regarding how she's been treated. She actually lashes out, and you can tell she's become very comfortable with the Squaddle Club. It all leads up to her performance with the song Aoi Canaria, a message towards Kaoruko addressing how she's no longer a kid, she's a squid. It helps that the song is actually really good, but also it's a really good showcase of Shioriko as a character. The one way she needed to express herself was the one way she absolutely detested just a while back. It's a case where the individual arc works pretty well, but then you realize you're watching Season 2 and it's like, well, that was a cool moment, but now we gotta get back to the questionable decisions. That happens a lot in the Siva story now that I'm thinking about it, and it's a shame it continued past Season 1, where admittedly those things should have been fixed, which is why the bond stories are the best part about the game, but one step at a time here. And for the record, I won't be covering Season 3 and above to where it officially ended. I mean this in the nicest way. I'm not doing that. People are into Love Life for different reasons, either it be for the music, the games, the characters, and story. However, there are some elements that people likely won't touch due to interest or just disliking it. Exhibit A. Okay, I'm playing for the most part, but I can only do it in short spurts, which is why let's actually talk about where the CFS visual novel format strives in, which is the Bond stories. Bond stories are where the character work can actually shine without thinking of the main plot that's going on, which is a good thing for a character like Shioriko, who doesn't have to suffer through any of the bullshit and can just relax in the world of CFS. It's like a rite of passage. You gotta get through the 9 layers of hell just to have a chance at being a good character. I won't go over Shioriko's entire Bond story, but I would like to talk about her character, or how much she's changed. It's something I mentioned with Lanju in the Lanju video, but now that she's part of the idol gang, there's a level of comedy that results because of the contrasting personality. There's a level of naivety that you can see in Shioriko due to her strict nature, very book smart, but not street smart, as I like to put it. Going off what we know in the future, she seems to be very sheltered and in the ways of doing things formally, either be her attitude, outfits, or dancing. You can see it with the way she interacts with Karuko, and how it's her that often gives Shioriko new experiences in life. Like, she's never gone to a diner before. The lingering sense of realism and logic in Shioriko's head isn't rubbed off just because she's in the idol club though. When they start discussing their dreams, Shioriko admits her dream of wanting to make people happy is pretty unrealistic, but in the world of school idols, any dream is possible. It's that mindset that makes her sometimes believe she isn't fit for being a school idol, and a big part of her bond stories is getting rid of that stiffness to experience life at its fullest. She really is naive though. In her pursuit to learn what a school idol is, everyone passed her around doing some of the most stupidest shit to her. Like, why is she in the maid outfit? She's being taken advantage of. Someone save this girl. I will be connecting these kinds of personality traits to later adaptations of Shio because the bond stories are where you can see the modern day version of Shioriko spawn in. One who's a fish out of water in the world of school idols. A bit shy, a bit stupid, I blame Karuko, but one who's willing to learn and experience life from a new angle. It's a whole new ballgame for her, and something she needs to learn step by step, to persevere. That new angle allows her to experiment outside her boundary range, leading to the creation of Concentrate. You know, the song where Shioriko says the digits of pi? For some context, in the Bond story, there's a film festival that the Niji members participate in, and each of them go outside their usual bubble to create a short film. These short films then serve as actual inspiration for songs on Niji's 4th album, so if you've ever wondered why the genres of the solo songs were bizarre, that's why. Shioriko decides to make a promo video for the film festival because her ass can't think of anything else, and Anata-chan creates a song for Shioriko because of her choice, leading to Concentrate. It is a really funny ass song. Most of the lyrics do not make any sense, but once you start seeing it as Shio realizing she needs to be street smart and not just book smart, it starts to piece itself together. Not judging your life like a test, not looking for a textbook for answers, it's all about living and experiencing. I just really like seeing Shio loosen up over time naturally. The episode where she goes to the zoo is probably one of my favorites. Her realizing, oh, I can do this, is one of the best revelations for a character like her, and over time, the more I think about it, the more I start to become okay with this version of Shioriko. One who is deadass just learning how to live life, and is a great inspiration to those that may have been sheltered or didn't get the guidebook to the unofficial rules of living, like how to hang out with friends, how to shop, how to know if it's okay to say if something is cute, you know, stuff that isn't in the books. It's something that happens naturally, and I love that about Shio, but I think the most important part about her character is how she transitioned from how she was in season 1 to after. Cephas may have not been the most popular thing in the world, but when stuff happened, it reached the far corners of the Love Live community. Not every Love Live fan was reading the Cephas story, but you bet people heard the stories about her as the chapters came along. Word of mouth can go a long way, and when it comes to the impacts it had in the series, it's not exactly a good reputation to have even if you fix it later on. And Shio was already going through some struggles regarding her rep, specifically in the public eye. There's one key detail in the timeline so far that I've been neglecting. Season 1 of Cephas took place late 2019 to mid 2020, with Shioriko being introduced November 2019 and joining around August of 2020. You know what else happened in 2020? Specifically late October of 2020? Well, it was something very cool for the history of Nijigasaki, and Shioriko wasn't there for it. Alright, before we get into this, let's talk about child custody really quickly. Child custody is a legal arrangement regarding the custody of a child, you know, who gets to legally and physically make decisions for them. This often happens when divorces occur, and is usually determined between the child's parents or guardians. A lot of factors are taken into consideration on who gets custody, and oftentimes it becomes joint custody, where both guardians/parents share the child, either it be where the child lives, or how long they get to hang out each other's residence. The point is though, the child is split between custody or ownership between two parties. Love Live Nijigasaki is a very unique case in who owns and manages the group. Here's a fun fact, and many of you old Niji heads will likely know this. Wait, let me get in position. Did you know? Shioriko Mifune was originally cast alongside the 9 members of Nijigasaki before All Stars released. Okay, end of bit, moving on. During the writing of this video, the rumor of Shioriko being casted with the others was something that was in my mind. However, when I tried doing research, nothing exactly came up that was conclusive besides he said, she said. The revelation soon came that I fucking suck at research and I should get help from people that were actively in the community back then and remember this stuff. I want to give shouts to the r/LoveLife Discord, not Reddit. I'll die before I rep Reddit. They were very helpful with almost immediately providing sources and interviews used from the time Shioriko was introduced. Dengeki G, Love Life Days, thank you Rina Ri, Drug, and everyone else who helped out. Now the proof for Shio being cast with the others comes from multiple sources, with one of them originating from an interview for Seiyu Moeka Koizumi. It's here where she revealed that she auditioned for Love Life Sunshine back when that was getting started, but she unfortunately failed, so this was her second chance. This interview is actually really insightful towards Moepi's view on Shio being introduced, breaking the 9-member rule and tradition itself, the pressure and conflict that comes with questioning how fans will feel about it. Again, new members aren't common now, but I'm really glad to have found an actual source that addressed the weight this kind of decision had. One thing to note though, this interview was made in the Dengeki G September 2020 issue, but you may notice that there's no exact date to when she was casted or did her audition. We could assume it was done obviously before All Stars introduced her, but how early was it? Well, the answer to that lies with the Love Life Days Volume 20 September 2021 issue. Thank you Reddit user Masamochi. I just read Reddit. In the issue, we get a small quote from Akina Homoto, Lanju's Seiyu, who makes a comment about how long she's been casted for, stating it to be 3.5 years. This issue came out September 2021, 2021 minus 3 years, that's 2018. Subtract half a year, and that makes it early 2018. And if Lanju was casted that early, then it's very reasonable to suspect Shio was casted that early as well. And depending on when Homin actually wrote that quote and when it was exactly printed and released, we could honestly go back and push a few months to reach 2017, which, wait a second, that aligns with when PDP launched. But that's kind of reaching, so let's just focus on the year 2018. I do apologize if it seems like I sidetrack with this long explanation finding sources. I just sometimes feel like the journey is just as cool as the destination. And all this research did was place more emphasis on 2018. Let's do a little quiz. What was supposed to happen in 2018? What was supposed to happen originally that was going to be Nijagasaki's magnum opus, the thing that people were going to get into to learn about the group? That's right, All Stars, which was delayed by 1 year into 2019. Shioriko was cast extremely early with the evidence we have, enough to the point you could just say they were cast alongside the original 9, even though the dates don't line up perfectly. Now, why does this matter? Communication. This is kind of a crack theory thanks to certain Reddit threads and research, so take this with a grain of salt, but considering certain details I'll elaborate on, Nijigasaki was split into 2 factions, both with different visions. Essentially, we all know Love Life is owned by a crap ton of companies, and with Nijigasaki, that's even more apparent with the mobile games, the place where Nijigasaki made their home at first. While it hasn't been fully confirmed, it's pretty clear Bushiroad at the time was responsible for Sif and Cephas. That was their home ground, and they had control over that area, for better or for worse. Since Nijigasaki was in that zone and was created in that zone, think of PDP, they kind of had first dibs in regards to the direction of Nijigasaki. Think about it. Cephas was managed by Bushiroad, so the story was up to them. They were in control of what the characters would do. However, something happened. An anime announcement is what happened. And that anime was going to be handled by Sunrise, not Bushiroad. The head writer was not the same, and it was almost like it was a completely separate version. You can actually see this in the prototype versions of the anime adaptation thanks to Muteiki Q Believer and Midai Harmony. These 2 MVs clearly showed a disconnect in the Cephas universe, and obviously it wasn't going to be a one-to-one adaptation, but this was released 1 month before Shioriko became an official member, and I'm noticing a lack of green in this music video. But Love Life doing this caused a split to occur, and miscommunication began between production of both versions of Niji. Wanna know how? It's very evident to other people, not me until I was directly told, that the split was incredibly obvious to casual viewers. For example, the art styles between live concerts constantly fluctuating between the anime universe and the game universe. Both parties are working on Nijigasaki at the same time, with both doing their own thing, and quite literally no effort in trying to make it seem like they were in the same universe. Did you know, when Nijigasaki was premiering its first season, the Lanju arc had just started? What the fuck? And season 1 of the anime didn't even contain a trace or foreshadowing of Lanju, Mia, or Shioriko. And again, that Midai Harmony music video cementing that these things were separate. You see, Shioriko is in a very bizarre position. Her identity was already established a very long time ago. She appeared in November 2019, 1 month before the anime was officially announced. And fun fact, she was announced before we got our first look at Liella, which had 5 members, showing even more how Shio was this first step to changing the formula of the member count. There was a large chunk of time between our first appearance and Niji's first season, yet Shioriko didn't even get a mention in that season. Why? Man, it was too late. I'm slightly aware of how anime production goes, and I know there's a lot of decisions that need to be made ahead of time to ensure a smooth production. Imagine you're working on the Niji anime and you're well into production. Then you look at Cephas randomly announcing this green hair motherfucker that's a student council president that hates school idols. It hasn't been announced she's joining the main cast, but as time goes by and you're finishing up episodes and the story in Cephas is going along, and oh, she just joined a group in August, 2 months before our premiere. Oh my god, bruh. And then COVID was happening around this time, so wow, what a fucking lineup. Also, they weren't Mappa pulling crazy ass deadlines, so nah, bro, she's staying with Bushiroad. They can have her all to themselves for the weekend. And walk with me for a second here. Now, I'm unsure whether or not the anime was always going to be announced in 2019, but let's say All Stars wasn't delayed. It would come out in 2018, meaning Shioriko, and to an extent the others, will be introduced way earlier, allowing them to be potentially incorporated in the actual anime adaptation, if communication was had in the first place. And don't tell me I'm crazy or overthinking two companies not communicating with each other over a fucking idol series. I believe this theory as much as I believe in Oshawa taking over the world. Think about it. Why this disconnect in communication between two companies / groups over the same project? They should have known about Shioriko. They should have known about Lanju and Mia. The only reasonable cause for this is 1, there was no communication on purpose, 2, there was no communication on accident, or 3, they're stupid or didn't care. And I actually have solid proof that they didn't communicate with each other or didn't care. During the r/Love Life talk, I got linked to a tweet from the All-Stars writer where they commented on their thoughts on the first season. This was right around when chapter 17 dropped, where Shioriko officially joined the club. And he mentioned it's been 3 years since he raised the stakes, implying that the concept of Shioriko was already conceived that far back. That tweet? That was made in 2020. 2020 minus 3 equals 2017. That's when PDP started. If Shioriko was already conceived that far back, wouldn't that be on the cliff notes for the nijigasaki topic if both companies were cooperating regarding rules in the Niji universe or what's going to happen in it? Or maybe, just maybe, they said, fuck it, we want to do our own version without having any limitations. I don't know why I'm taking this so seriously. This is an idol series. Also, literally anyone could have guessed there was no communication. Shioriko, who had been alive for over half a year already, didn't even get a chance to be in the anime adaptation that low-key raised Niji's popularity by a ton because she was stuck in Bushiroad headquarters. Or, if we're going to use my analogy, her custody was retained by Bushiroad. Or, if you want an even worse example that lines with Shio being conceptualized way earlier, a secret child that nobody knew about until now. If you want a core example of the direct relationship between the Nijigasaki universes and who held control of Nijigasaki, Shioriko is the perfect example of this. Someone who was created right in the middle of both parties creating their own version of Nijigasaki, with no communication being brought whatsoever, or no one caring. Imagine that happening to like a Liella member, bro. A very specific example of this divide is the second and third live. The second live was Cephas focused, you can tell because of the art style and the fact Shioriko and Weppy made a direct appearance. However, the third live was anime focused. Wanna know how you can tell? Matter of fact, do the exact same thing for the fourth and fifth live, bro. It is not subtle. It's a very weird sequence of events that the anime got more popular than Cephas because Cephas fucking sucks dick, so Bushiroad slowly lost more and more control / perception over Nijigasaki as time went by. Compile that with the second season of the anime, the OVA, and the movies, and most people nowadays will recognize the anime universe rather than the Cephas universe. The versions of these characters, the events of these characters, and is that a good thing? Alright. It's time to talk about the anime since I rewatched season 2, the OVA, and just watched the movie, but one step at a time here. I've already discussed the anime having different interpretations of the Nijigasaki characters, and that's even more so for the season 2 characters, Shio, Lanju, and Mia. I discussed Lanju and Mia, so it's time to focus on Shio. Okay, I'm sorry, let's be serious. Firstly, shouts to Team Onibe for subbing the Nijigasaki seasons. It's made a joy to rewatch, but in that rewatch, I realized, damn, is Shio just there? Now I understand adapting the Shio student council plot was impossible without fundamental changes. I can accept that. But what I cannot accept is what they replaced it with, which is nothing. I'm okay with Shio being interpreted differently personality-wise. Maybe they wanted to tone her down, and I understand that. But a big problem with this season is the runtime, obviously, and not letting Shio do anything besides say hi and be there in the background, and do some other student council stuff that really does not matter except for certain things. It doesn't help that she's so reserved that it makes her have non-existent aura. As blunt as Shio was in Cephas, she actually had a presence and had memorable moments and was recognizable. Taking away that edge and her whole arc leaves her so empty that I tend to forget about her entirely. The arc especially, because you can pinpoint similar traits between modern Cephas Shio and anime Shio, but a big part of Shio's character was growing to become that version. Here, she just is. She just does not give a fuck. She's just a chill guy. The moment she figures out Setsuna is not Nakagawa, she has the most I don't give a fuck face ever. You could express some sort of emotion, bro. You're like too nice and understanding, bro. All you do is listen and be a good person looking out for people. And listen, saying this out loud doesn't seem like too much, but rewind back to when I was talking about Shio and Cephas, come on, man. That's night and day. And don't take this as me saying I want Shio to be a fucking asshole and beat the shit out of Setsuna. I'm just asking for an alternative that is equally engaging. I think the biggest issue I have with Shioriko is that compared to Lanju and Mia, she just isn't given much. You can say that for Lanju too, especially for what I said in my video, but Shio got hit more by just being there and nothing else. Lanju and Mia had their arcs in SIFA Season 2 that could still be adapted independently, but Shio's arc is stuck in Season 1 and that requires some hoops to adapt all of it. It's quite odd how I don't have much to say about Shioriko in the anime, even though she does get a ton of scenes before her focus episode alongside everyone else. She's low-key here just for the vibe, and that can work for a group setting, but with the focus on solo idols, it just shows how nothing burger she is in the grand picture. You can low-key debate the same for other characters, but Shioriko comes as the biggest one because of her previous incarnation. But to actually summarize Shio's arc, it revolves around Karuko, same as Sifa's. However, it isn't because of Karuko's obsession with school idols, it's just that Karuko was once an idol herself, didn't get into love life, and Shioriko was like, shit, I wouldn't want to be that guy, and basically just hid it away. That's it. It has some sort of similarity to Sifa's, with Shioriko thinking people should just do what they're good at naturally, but it isn't really connected the best, and she only applies it to herself, no dictatorship here. That concept is intriguing, even though we've seen something similar in previous groups. Shioriko is a very neutral character, but her focus episode reveals that deep in her heart, she's always been yearning to be one of them, and on the rewatch you can see in certain scenes. I'll actually give some praise for Show Don't Tell. Just having Shio's neutral face with the camera zooming in on it can actually do a lot to make you understand what she's thinking. It's obviously evident though in Emotion, where a big part of the song's lyrics are directly talking about her neutral mindset, her I'ma stand around do nothing attitude, and how she can't take a leap of faith like the others. She'd come up with reasons or cop-outs as to why she couldn't, but she knew she always could, she was just a coward deep down. But she now wants to be honest with herself. She finally wants to express her emotions, and when I phrase it like that, it seems like a pretty solid arc. In fact, with the way the anime is structured, it's already leagues better than how SIFA Season 1 did it, which was death by boredom. But there's like one huge flaw with it in my opinion. This version of Shioriko is just there, and nothing really intrigues you fully about her at any point, so the conclusion just doesn't hit as hard. To be frank, this is something akin to Hanyo, a character many people, back then at least, used to interpret as the normal one, the boring one, the one that's just there, the average Joe. I'm not a writer or someone who structures things professionally, but I think there's a reason Hanyo's arc was done ASAP in School Idol Project, and it was because of this potential problem happening. And in the anime, you can definitely see how Shioriko would fit in with that trope. It's just been prolonged till episode 7. I mean, I am slightly projecting. I low-key feel like Shioriko in the anime with how she's just there, and I can handle that in real life because it's real life, but in a structured written series, a part of me hoped they would use the normalcy of Shioriko for something more. I'm not a writer of course, so I don't know how to rearrange it, but it just feels like a lot more could be done for Shioriko and what she wants. This is foreshadowing for the OVM movie and how they handle her well, but let's pretend we're doing this chronologically so love life looks cool. Similar to my laundry video, people immediately took note of what was going on. Soft, emotionless, there. Those were some of the terms used to describe Shio in the anime. Not compelling is the term I'd use to describe Shio's involvement in the story. The thing is, if you just watched the anime with no context of Sifa's, you probably wouldn't hate Shio that much. She'd exist and she'd have her arc, but there wouldn't be much to hate or love about her. It's not insulting or a blight against humanity. But if you knew her Sifa's version, you'd start having some expectations for her character. It's like everything cool / important to her was skipped over and you can feel it. Were they playing it safe? Did they have too much ground to cover? I mean, the answer is yes, but when you look at it from a production viewpoint, how the fuck were you supposed to pile it all together? Shioriko genuinely got the short end of the stick, because the story clearly puts more emphasis on recreating Season 2 of Sifa's, so Shio's whole arc is flung out of the water. The worst insult to Shio in the anime is saying you deadass forgot what she did. Or you forgot she was there at all. Now the story of Nijigasaki and Shioriko doesn't end there. Niji got the best end of the stick with multiple continuations of the anime series. As of the time of its release, there is currently an OVA and 2 movies with a third one planned this year. These help to continue the plot of Nijigasaki while giving characters a lot more focus. And for the OVA, a lot of focus is put on the Shioriko and it's slowly repathing its way into Sifa's territory. I'm not recapping the whole OVA, I hate summarizing, I like analyzing, go watch it yourself on Crunchyroll, it's a whatever service like 30 minutes long. To stick with the essentials, the OVA revolves around Liella, the overseas girl that Ayumu met at the end of Season 2. When Ayumu returns, everyone is invigorated with the possibility of spreading school idols worldwide outside Japan. There's a strong connection between Shioriko and the plot when it comes to overcoming that fear to express herself, as school idols are a foreign concept to a lot of people and hard to digest, you know? In real life, that's been changing with Kaigai idols and the like, but it's not enough to where the general public will know about it instantly. It's a very uphill battle, but one that's been building up thanks to a tightly knit community. That's an entirely different topic since that's switching to real life, but within the series itself, it's used as a way to further Shioriko, someone who's still learning to be herself. It's like everyone in Nijigasaki is like, you don't gotta have to pull up your ass, Shioriko, you can just be yourself. And to be fair to her, it's not that she isn't being herself, she is naturally pretty chill and mellowed out unlike a certain someone, so it's the time that she feels more than than that they want her to express, and it's done really well. I do really like how the school idol term is just used for being who you want to be. Even with Liella, a foreigner, that term can still be used in a multitude of ways, and there's a sense of wonder whenever it's talked about. I'll give it to the OVA for bringing up Shio's limits, and how they're essentially the do what you're good at, not what you want mindset that Sifa Shio had. The ponytail is the biggest identifier of the limit being broken for Shio, and it's pretty good. And there's some scenes here that actually do remind me of how Sifa Shio would act. The girl who's learned to line up a little, but still retains that strict nature that comes with her position. Also yes, crumbs of ShioPomu. If there's one thing you can say is the worst part about the anime version of Nijigasaki, it's that Shio's entire growth with Ayumu is completely gone save for this one scene. Rest in peace ShioPomu, hashtag UPomu forever. Hey, it's me, Noodle. We're nearing the end of this video, and it's been a lot to take in, probably, so let's take a quick intermission. I do want to bring up a few brief points while we're waiting here, such as I apologize for slandering Steve for the story, and if there's any info I got wrong or missed, feel free to let me know. I did get a bit insane back there, and don't take me too seriously there. I'll mellow out in a few years, let me have this. If it's not clear already, I'm not exactly the most mature, so I'll slip through a couple of times when I actually try to talk about shit. I know some people are going to be peeved that I didn't watch season 3 and above, and if I was younger and had more time, I definitely would have no hesitation. But this is one of those cases where I'm actually learning to manage my time and what I want to dedicate it to, and unfortunately it got the short end of the stick. Please don't take that personally, I'm sure it improves on the storytelling for those that stuck with it. I edited the laundry video in a week. This video's been taking months, that should tell you a lot. Okay, that got really depressing. We are genuinely reaching the end though, and this is a video I've worked on for quite a while, so I hope you've been enjoying it, no matter if you agree or disagree with my opinions. Now, the movie. The reason this video wasn't made until around this time. When the first Niji movie came out and it was immediately teased that the next part would focus on the other half of the characters, which includes Shioriko, I was intrigued. The first movie did a lot to rectify and flesh out certain characters such as Lanju, and that made it promising for the other movies. This is the first time we get a free movie continuation, so it's like, what more can we do? What can we fix? What can we improve? There's so many anime and shows that mess up certain things, and they get just like 1 or 2 seasons while Rent a Girlfriend gets 5, so it's kind of a miracle we get opportunities like these. Now I already have thoughts on the Niji movie. I love Rina Mia, that should be the only thing you get out of my thoughts, go watch my video on it. But in regards to Shioriko, I think they managed to finalize what she's supposed to be. And it's not Sifa Shio for better or for worse depending on what version you preferred. I think after the anime, OVA, and the movie, Shioriko is supposed to be the normal or sheltered character. Wow, what an amazing conclusion from yours truly that I already said one way or another. It's quite literally the same as she is in Sifa's minus the fuck you arc. What I mean is that she's the one that has the most simple character arc. She wants to be someone who expresses herself more, to not hide the emotion she's holding. She never got the chance to do so, as looking at her lifestyle, she lived a very formal life and didn't go out doing stupid shit. For a lot of characters, they have the same deal, but usually they have something else that makes their situation unique. Either be their temper or attitude. But for her, that whole deal is everything she has. Her character arc is one that's mainly shown visually, and I really do mean it visually. Sure, you can read the words and be like, wow, she wants to express herself, but look at her face and you realize, oh shit, she actually is expressing herself. She actually looks happy. She no longer has that resting bitch face and looks like someone that figured out how to actually enjoy life after an all-nighter. Her song perfectly encapsulates that too, not the all-nighter part, but expressing yourself fully. Her passion and yearning for it is expressed via a phoenix birthing and labeling it as endless possibilities for her. Or, you know, a rebirth. Oh shit, I forgot to mention rebirth. Yes, rebirth, and become a new, better version of yourself. Back to the movie. For this version of Shioriko, it makes sense that expressing herself is a big deal for her, considering how much she closed herself mentally. Now, admittedly, she doesn't get that much to do, hashtag Rina Mia, I mean what? But I'm not gonna be stupid and not acknowledge what they did with Shioriko. There was clearly a goal here, even if I don't think the concept itself was the best. But I don't know, you get used to it after a while, and the anime version of Shio influenced the Shio Curdypon where she's smiling, so I think it's worth it. Oh yeah, let's talk about that real quickly. Note, after editing this, I was going kind of insane here, so choose not to believe this fully. I may just be losing it after recording all this, but you know, hear me out. This is a very niche discussion, but still applies when comparing the 2 different versions of Shioriko. To a lot of people felt this version of Shioriko was not only defanged, but also she was happy as fuck. When Shioriko's pop-up figure was revealed, people noticed that Shioriko was looking a little bit too happy. And if you look at the image that the figure was based on, you'll see the immediate difference. Her ass is not smiling. There was this one Japanese tweet I saw that talked about how this figure perfectly represented how Love Life wanted Shioriko to be perceived. Instead of this professional, formal version of a school idol, traditional in a way, it was instead one that was learning to express herself in little ways, such as smiling and being what she was always afraid to be. I don't have the tweet, but believe me, I'm not making this up. Someone back me up on this. The point is, there is a major difference between the 2 versions of Shioriko, and with figures and other pieces of merchandise potentially following the anime perception of Shio, it made it so that version version of Shio was going to be the one that would be reflected the most, not Sifa's. The thing is, they were already becoming similar in ways with their goals, but there were still clear differences. I'm not saying Sifa's Shio didn't have a smile on her face, it's adorable when she does, but you can't deny that level of professional/formalism in her is disappearing. It's both a natural cause of Shio's development, but with anime Shio taking center stage, that past is kinda getting forgotten about. Like, Sifa's Shio is a lot more shyer/embarrassed, probably due to getting her worldview shattered in the story, but still has that rage in her that makes her sick of some people's bullshit. She still has that trace of her that was in season 1, and I love that. There's some nuance in it because of the formal way she lived. And for anime Shio, I don't think I've seen her get genuinely angry once. I cannot imagine anime Shio side-eyeing people, which makes her image of a lovable puffball even more apparent. It's like it's her first time living. Bro, why are you so nice? It's the difficult part about discussing the different versions of nijigasaki characters. I can say we can discuss and do friendly debates, but we already know the end result of how it is. The anime version is the one that's going to be used, and that's the reality. Look at what they've been doing to Mia Taylor's hair, bro. It's over. That sounded kinda doomer-like, but I do think there's merit in understanding this new version, and what they're trying to do, even if it may not be everyone's cup of tea. Making this video and rewatching everything gave me a piece of love life history that I don't think will be really replicated on this level. Not to say experimentation on this level doesn't happen anymore, but not this kind. The first time is always special, and being special doesn't always mean good for the record. This video may come off more as a love life retrospective about how All-Star sucks dick, but it just shows how Shioriko was intertwined with it and how really she was the one that went for the most changes with the divorce. You can just visually see it too. Lanju as well, but look into Shio's eyes. You can see a completely different mindset with them. With Lanju and Mia, you can still see traces of what people initially think of them. That ego/confidence, or that emo-ass 2000s haircut. It's different, but still there. But Shio? Who are you? That's not my dog, bro. And is that okay? I don't know. What I do know is that the Shio credit file is cute as fuck. Now, there's still a couple of things to cover with Shioriko. Spin-offs and the like still exist, combining different elements of the Nijiverse to make a secret third thing in regards to nijigasaki characters. First up, Niji on animation. In this universe, Shioriko is kind of a scrunkly, adorable creature that's genuinely just here. She's curious, reserved that politeness, and once again doesn't have any of that aggression that you might see from her previous incarnation. It does create some cute moments though, as Shioriko is displayed as, so tightly knit that she doesn't know how to have fun and the like. The best episode is definitely with Ai, as they both go on a random adventure, and Shio gets to see Ai turn into a humanoid figure before running away. What the fuck was that? It really does paint the idea of Shioriko being a very sheltered person, and it's only with the group that she's starting to open up doors and possibilities. A very fish out of water trope, which I'm gonna keep reinforcing because it reminds me of Little Mermaid. Niji is fun though, and I think this version of Shio adapts to the random bullshit that happens here. Do I mention Nijigasaki of the Rebellion? That version of Shioriko is more satirical, but still retains some elements of both the anime and Sifa's? It's honestly really funny seeing the combination of her strict nature with her innocent tone of speech that makes her a hypocrite in the funniest way possible. But let's get to the serious thing you're waiting for. Niji Chizu, or Tokimeki Roadmaps to the Future, or the Niji visual novel, whatever floats your boat. This game serves as a continuation to the Sifa's universe, so yes, this means Shioriko is actually the same Shioriko we knew in Season 1 and beyond. Similar to Lanju, past events are referenced and there's still that sense of formality/edge that she retains. Honestly, when the demo came out and I saw a bit of footage, it was really cool to see these versions come back. I know people just focus on the newly added characters, but characters like Rina have noticeable differences that really place emphasis that this is actually Sifa's. Before I go into anything further, I will give a spoiler for this part. Niji Chizu fucking sucks dick and isn't worth your money, but there are some moments that you should experience for yourself. 3, 2, 1, Shioriko in space. So to catch you up to speed, Anata-chan loses her memories, and depending on your choices, you can have her remember no one member, or everyone. So if you want to, you can think of it like a dating sim, with each character having their own route. This story is an actual nothing burger with reused assets for 90% of it. This was $40 by the way. It didn't even get that much proof cleaning. I don't mean to be aggressive about this, but I don't feel much was put into this game. Except for that random ass Super Sentai plot where Shioriko was a dog. I don't know what's going on there. The entire game structure is repetitive and boring. Matter of fact, one day, I'm just gonna make a video talk about this game because it needs to be exposed. But for Shioriko's route, it's in the usual line of trying to get Anata-chan to remember their memories via different things. A lot of Shio's route is actually just ShioPomu together trying to help us, which is really funny, and also reminds me of what we lost in the anime transition. The one thing I will say after doing this entire video is that, yeah, Shioriko has been sort of defanged in a sense. Not that I'm against it, but after reading everything, the naivety/sheltered traits of Shioriko are the ones that are the most focused on, not her bluntness or firm stances. In a way, it blends in with the anime version of Shio, which is why I talk about the public perception of her. The good-natured, albeit slightly sheltered kid who's learned to be there for her friends and explore what she wants to do. Naivety is the word I would use though, because she falls for shit quite easily, especially by her sister, and as the visual novel continues, you realize she's literally just like her sister doing outlandish shit. Okay, I'm not even joking, Shioriko takes you to a waterfall to meditate because Karuko did it to her, and after you remember your memories, you guys just go on random adventures across the van and other places until she's like, outer space. And then you guys just go to outer space. There is no build up to this, and it is quite literally the funniest thing ever in this game. I guess this game isn't that useless. I was joking like 60% of it. There are some good bits in this game. It is a nice conclusion to the CFS universe, but it's scattered and filled with fluff. You know, filler to waste your time, which I repeated 2 times now. How is this a regular problem? Oh my god. You know, during the process of making this video, I really did a self-check to see my progress. My progress on the Shioriko video was a long one, both going through the CFS chapters, anime, and seeing what other people had to say. And the question I had through all of it was, have I improved? Have my video essays improved either visually or structurally enough to say this video was worth watching? The answer is no, but Shioriko is a very interesting result of an experiment that had to be conducted eventually. She's the result of trying to add a new character to a series that usually had everyone established. She is the result of company mismanagement, having to join late and be altered to fit a new format with writers that likely didn't see her the same as the original ones. Lanju obviously gets a bit more focus in terms of being changed due to her controversial acts, but I hope you've been shown that Shioriko in a lot of ways was changed as well. I don't know if this will be around the same length of the Lanju video as I started talking about real life reactions and Seiyu stuff, but I did put a lot more talk about love life in general, aka Sifa sucks. If you made it to the end of the video, I highly recommend watching my Lanju video to get a bit more context on events I talk about, and if you got this far, type Shio balls in the comments. Also, don't take my word as gospel or some shit like that. This is purely my personal opinions besides when I say, on October 30th, this happened, or some shit like that. Discussion about stuff like Sifas isn't documented the best, and I wouldn't want people to perhaps use my videos as a source. Go watch that stuff yourself. There's some fun stuff in them. Some. Now then, is me after all the voiceovers. I got a haircut during the production of this video, just to show you how long it's been. Firstly, there are a lot of things I missed out on, such as talking about, you know, Shioriko's music style and like her cards and UR and CFS and all that kind of jazz. And I was debating on it, but ultimately this was a video about Shio's story, so I kind of had to make some cutoff point. I know it won't please everyone, and some of the reasons I gave are kind of cop-out answers, but you know, one day I'll make it up to you, I promise. But either way, we're here. This video was one of my original video ideas I conceptualized back in 2024, before I became the content creator you know now. It was this and a few others, with one I have yet to do, but who knows. It feels kind of cool completing my bucket list of video ideas, you know. When I conceptualized those video ideas, I wasn't expecting that I'd be such a prominent love life creator. I want to do Sonic videos. Now I have a few announcements before you decide to click off. Many of you have probably seen the increased activity on this channel, either be frequent videos, posts, or even streams. And I do want to address one thing first. I stream now. On twitch.tv/NoodleGirl22, I stream frequently, either be playing games or talk about idle stuff like Love Life and that new Bang Dream show. I'm making a huge push for streaming, and I hope you'll join if you're interested. Don't worry, I'm still doing videos, and that actually leads to my next announcement. If you check this channel right now, you may notice a special video listed. It won't appear right now because I'm still making it, but when this video releases, it will be there. But yes, I am doing memberships on this channel now. For the record, this is completely optional. I don't have a gun to your head, you know, forcing you to give me money. But if you are interested, I am opening memberships for this channel due to many financial plans I have for the future. For just $2.99 in USD, I'm not sure how it converts to other currencies. The videos in question will be behind the scenes for major video essays like this one, or exclusive videos voted on by you. The polls will obviously be used to determine what videos you guys would like, as I would like to strike a balance between something you like and something I like. Last thing you need is me talking about something I have no interest in. It's still a work in progress in some areas, and I don't really expect many people to actually contribute, but you know, I did at least. I tried. If it doesn't work out. Fuck. Again, not required. It would just be nice to keep on doing this in the long run. But you know, it's up to you if my content is worth it in your eyes. Anyway, that's my cue. This is the end of some arc. After this, I'm gonna be hibernating for like a day or two, and then I'm gonna come back. Feature me. Can we do like a little fade out here? Make a little, put some emotional music here. The Sonic 06 piano. Thank you.